Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to come to you with part two of a two-part series that I had started on some advice for the ladies when it comes to dating. But some things have happened in my personal life that have kind of opened my eyes up to the fact that maybe this should be more open because I found myself unfortunately doing some of these things that I 6 weeks ago would have said, this is probably not a good idea. Because when you're in the situation, things are a little different. So, as a way to reinforce and for my own therapy, because I couldn't afford a professional, that's major long term care for me. What I want to do is kind of go over some of these things that if you look at the last video, these are the exact same notes. And it's going to be funny because it will be me telling myself a little bit, a lot, and then maybe some observations since I've had some time to look back. So, point number one, be ready to date. All right, so where did I mess up on this one? Well, to be honest with you, a few months ago, my mom passed away, and she was a big part of my life. And I I knew I was a little compromised, and the opportunity kind of reared its head, and I was a little leery, because I thought, well, maybe I'm not seeing clearly here. Maybe I'm looking for a replacement. That happens. So guilty. Well, I wasn't really ready because I found myself very quickly just completely like opening myself up, which I really was not smart because that wasn't the speed at which this relationship was progressing. So, I don't know. You can live through a lot. But anyway, plan. Be ready to date. Now, the first thing that I put down here was baggage. So, and this was an issue. I'm the type of person that my past is my past, and to be quite honest with you, except for what involves my kids, it's really none of your business. No offense. I'm not trying to hide some dark past. It's just the past. And in a relationship, my view is the focus really should be on our lives together in the future. Is there a future? And if so, what's it going to take for us to get to that point? So I understand that that's an important part of how we interact in our future relationships, but it should be that to a healthy level. And to each person, that's different. And so certain personality types like me, everybody, we always, it's a joke from Futurama. Leela was discussing her relationship with Fry, and she says, I love his boyish charm, but I hate his childish behavior. And I'm like, well, the boyish charm is tied to the childish behavior. And so you have to be able to handle both ends of that personality type. And so not everyone's made to be with everybody. And, sometimes it's an oil and water. And no matter how much you want that thing to come together, it's just not going to. Is it really something that we should be forcing? So anyway, so in the course of talking with your significant other, this guys, girls, for all of us, how about conversations that this was on here? These are on my notes. Okay, so I don't want anybody saying this is me trying to throw this. Absolutely not. These were already on my notes. So every sentence probably shouldn't start with the statement, I dated this guy once, or I dated this girl once. For me personally, some people that may not bother them. I'm not, I really don't I don't care. Uh, I care that if if the experience marks you negatively, I do care about that. But I don't care to the point of where I need to hear every single solitary story that you have in your head. Sometimes retelling negative events like that, you just bring all those emotions back up, and that stuff will come out over the course of time. I don't need to know everything today, and that's kind of, I'm a talkative person. I will absolutely, I can talk your ear off. I will be talking long after you have run out of things to talk about, I promise. So it's not an issue of not being interested in conversation, but there's time. If you feel like that you're in a relationship that has some legs, that you feel like that you need to share some past experiences that have marked you in one way or another, know there's time. They don't all have to come out this afternoon. And so, like I said, sometimes I think and I do this as a person, I'm very animated when I tell a story. And when I discuss something that happened that was bad, I relive that moment. And unfortunately, relive a lot of those emotions. And so, if it was something that made me mad, when I'm retelling the story, I'm gonna look pretty mad. It's just who I am, you know. It also makes me the type of person who's never met a stranger and can make friends with anyone, and the guy that your parents will absolutely love because but then there's the other side, so you gotta balance those two out, and you have to be ready for them both. We can't ignore personality traits that are plainly in front of us because we see potential. And for me personally, I think what I do is I'm attracted to that potential. What could we do? What's the possibility? And unfortunately, that's just not reality. You have to deal with the situation as it is, and don't church it up. Be honest with yourself and with each other of where you want, and communicate. You have to talk to each other. That's there's no one that you will ever talk to that says anything about relationships that doesn't say the number one key to a good relationship is communication. You have to know where each other stands, and you can't assume that the other person knows what you're thinking. So, and because guys and girls, there's a few of us that are pretty good at that, but don't assume. All right. And don't text message things that are require that are majorly important. Also, some things you should just bother picking the phone up on. So anyway, I'm going to enjoy a taste of as my hand shakes because this is my second cup. I bought a little stovetop espresso maker that is probably going to take 5 or 6 years off my life. It's absolutely delicious. Far too much caffeine for the average person to consume, I'm sure. So in my estimation, when you're establishing a relationship, when you're just starting out, maybe save some of that. Save some of that for later on. You never know. You may want to scare him or her off at one point or another. So you might want to save those nuggets, and then, hey, good story can send anybody packing. So, being ready to date, kind of have your life together as much as you possibly can. And what I mean by that is, if you've got a lot of drama going on, maybe you shouldn't be pulling another person into that drama. We all have things that happen, and as a person who's kind of in a single parent situation, weekend warrior, as it were, that stuff is going to be part of it. So that's just par for the course. Ladies, don't be concerned about that. Guys who have kids completely understand it, and we don't. It doesn't scare us. You know what I mean? It's just. It'd be nicer if it wasn't that way, but sometimes that's how it is. But other stuff, kind of, you know, if you're looking for an adult relationship that maybe the rest of your life should look like an adult's life, I don't know, call me crazy. I'm 50 years old. When I'm talking to people that are, 45 to 55, I have a certain level of expectation of maturity, not necessarily status in life. I don't care about that. I don't have any money. That's one of the reasons why I can't keep a relationship together. I'm always broke. I can do all kinds of stuff for you, but spend a bunch of money on you is probably not something that's going to happen. So I don't care about money. Sorry, that's awful. It's awful. Wow, there's the deal breaker. See, that's why I'm like I'm not on here to try to attract dates. That's why I'm just telling you the truth. Stuff you need to know. One of the things it's on here. Honestly, it's one of my next points is if you're get yourself ready for the situation, be prepared to date. Know when you're going to have time. If you're interested in someone and your life is so packed that you couldn't fit another person in, then why bother? You're setting yourself up for emotional pain. And honestly, none of us really need any more of that than we absolutely have to have. One of the things that I think, and this is, like I said, this is for everybody, and I recommend doing this really early on, ask big questions. A lot of times we want to wait until we're 3 or 4 dates in, before we find out that this person is absolutely not going anywhere where we want them to go. And unfortunately, by that amount of time, you spent so much time on the phone. Even if it's not very much time face to face, you've established so much rapport with this person that if it seems like it's going in a certain direction, I would want to know right away. I really don't want to invest any more emotional energy in someone who is vehemently opposed to living the lifestyle that I have planned. And it's not that I'm rigid and not open to change, but some stuff I'm rigid and not open to change on. We all are. You can't, life with, flexible goals, if you don't know where you're going, how do you know when you get there? So, not that I'm not saying that a person should be open to, new ideas of what plans are for your life, but I want to be honest with you. If you're in my age group, especially older people, now younger people, it's a little different, but for people in my age group, you really should have a pretty good clue of what you want to do with the last half of your life, I would think. I don't know. I could be wrong. So I could be just an old stick in the mud and just won't accept it. So one of my last points here and that I wanted to bring out is if you're in this relationship and you find yourself making statements like, I'm only asking for what I deserve. Now, some variation on that. So what do I mean by that? If you find yourself, while you're dating this person, while you're talking to this person, getting ready to, invest yourself in time with this person and emotion with this person, if you're constantly having to say to them that I'm not getting what I'm looking for in this relationship, get it. Just go. Just go. Don't try. Sorry about that. Don't try to train them. Don't try to educate them, especially when you are talking to people who are adults with children. Who, again, kind of talking to people in my age group, I guess. They are who they are, and you really need to accept them for who they are. And all of us need polished up. All of us have got rough edges that we need to have knocked down. But if every conversation you have with a person is how they're doing something that you don't like, then just stop having conversations with them. Okay, you're just delaying the inevitable by trying to correct things that are just part of who they are. So, something that we need to ask ourselves is, are you asking for what you are willing to give? Are you making requirements of another person that you're willing to give to that person. And so sometimes I think we find that we are in a relationship with people that don't understand how we communicate, how we feel. And if you tell the person that this thing is important to me, or I need to hear how I look, or it's time with you, or whatever it is, whatever your love language is. And if they're not understanding that, then my advice to you, honestly, is I would just move on down the road. If they're not naturally getting it or not willing to accommodate what you're looking for, then what else are they not going to be willing to compromise on? So that's what I say. Early on, get it out of the way. And one thing that I highly recommend as a thought to keep in the back of your head, and guys, girls, for everybody, is it's not all about you. You're in a relationship. It's about both of you. It's about both of you being happy. And if you can't see the two of you being happy at the same time, both getting what you both need, then just move on down the road. I know that sounds fatalistic, but I see so many people that have stayed in relationships when they knew within the first 2 or 3 dates. I'm talking about somebody that you've just started dating, someone that you've just started spending time with, but they knew early on that it was going to be a problem, and then they were 5, 6, 7 years down the road, and their entire lives are intertwined with them, and they're living miserable lives because they weren't willing to just be alone. And sometimes we have to be willing to say, you know what, rather than be in a bad relationship, I would rather be by myself, wait for someone who's going to be giving me what I want without me having to demand it, and find that happiness that most of us are looking for in a relationship. So, all right, thanks for stopping in. Talk to you guys later. Bye.